In this video, I'm going to show you how a tiny, aggressive engineer that survived for 16 million years was wiped off the planet in the blink of an eye. And why the murder mystery of its disappearance is actually the most important lesson for saving every other animal on the edge of extinction today. But first, you have to understand who we're dealing with. The Yallara, a cute desert bunny. To the Wangkongaroo people who lived alongside them, they were legendary for being fierce and intractable. If you tried to handle one, it wouldn't hide. It would snap with razor-sharp teeth and let out a harsh, rhythmic hissing sound. They were the aggressive kings of the Simpson desert dunes. But here's where it gets intriguing. They were masters of thermal engineering. While the surface of the desert was baking at 50 degrees Celsius, the Yallara lived in a perfect, humid oasis of exactly 23 degrees. They did this by building massive spiral burrows that dove nearly 3 meters into the earth. Every morning, they would perform a plugging ritual, sealing the entrance with loose sand to lock the moisture in and keep the predators out. If you think a 3-meter fortress would be enough to save them, wait and see how they've gone extinct. You see, the Yallara was a boom-bust survivor. They were so adapted to the harshness of Australia that during a drought, a mother would actually consume her own young to survive. It sounds brutal, but it was a calculated biological trade-off that allowed the species to persist for millions of years. But then, the world changed in a way they couldn't calculate. In the late 1800s, a gray blanket began to suffocate the Australian outback. Millions of European rabbits arrived. They eat the Yallara's food, stole their homes. A rabbit would rather not dig its hole if it can find a pre-made 23-degree spiral fortress. They evicted the Yallara, forcing them out of their deep burrows and into the open. These animals had no chance. Scientists call it the critical weight range. If a mammal weighs between 35 grams and 5.5 kilograms, it is effectively a walking snack. The Yallara, at 400 grams, was the perfect size for the two new monsters in the desert: the red fox and the feral cat. Data shows that cats alone accounted for 60% of the extinction pressure on these animals. They were being outcompeted and hunted into oblivion by an enemy they had no evolutionary memory of. But here is the twist that baffles researchers even today. Western science formally declared the Lesser Bilby extinct in 1931. We thought they were gone. But in 1967, a man named P. Hanisch was climbing a cliff at Steel Gap when he reached into a wedge-tailed eagle's nest. He pulled out a skull. It was fresh, and it was a Lesser Bilby. This finding means that while the world think they are gone, a ghost population of these fierce little engineers was still fighting for survival in the most remote corners of the desert even after 30 years. Recent DNA sequencing of museum specimens proves that the Yallara had high genetic diversity right until the very end, but it's a warning. The Greater Bilby, the Yallara's only living relative, now occupies only 20% of its original range. The murder weapons, the cats, the foxes, and the rabbits, are still out there. But now, we know that in the Australian desert, invasive species are more dangerous than any climate shift. If we want to prevent the next ghost in the eagle's nest, we have to return to the traditional land management and predator control that kept the desert in balance for 50,000 years. Comment the extinct animal you want me to talk about next.